As we said, this is relatively informal, but hopefully give you a flavour of what our centre is about and how we function. And then of course all of this is about how we might be able to engage and collaborate. So firstly, our centre vision is to be a national and global leader in the development of frontier methods for the purposeful use of data to benefit our world. And we want to do that through 4 mechanisms. We want to look in, so we want to foster and connect QUT's capabilities in data science to achieve their full potential. We also want to look out, so we want to pursue world-class research and research translation in data science. We want to look up, so we want to advance the centre in QUT as a national and international leader in data science. And we also want to look forward, so we want to be able to support the development of the next generation of data scientists. And so we're doing that in 3 ways, and these are permeable layers where we have the core is around fundamental data science research, the mid layer is around domain-specific data science research, and then our 3rd layer is around our external partnerships, and I'll explain these now. So in terms of each of these then, what we've got is in our core research, we have 4 themes: data for discovery, models and algorithms, data-focused decision-making, and applied data science. In our midstream, the domain-specific research, we've called this our data science at QUT, that links up various research entities around the university, all with a focus on developing data science tools for specific applications. And we've grouped these loosely into domains. You can see some of them listed there. And we then, in our 3rd layer, we have our external engagement. Part of that then is our key partners, our external partners, and also the Australian Data Science Network. So if we look then at the core data science programs, we have our data for discovery. I won't read all of this, but you can just see from a glance and the materials available online. But we have 2 co-leaders here, and what we've intentionally done with the co-leaders too is to bring the people together from the different disciplines. So here we have James McGree, who's a statistician in our School of Mathematical Sciences, and Mo Wynn, who is a professor in the School of Information Sciences in Computer Science faculty. So we're deliberately bringing together the mathematical sciences, the statistical sciences, the information sciences, the computer science, and then we're rounding that out with our partners in the domain areas and in our e-research area as well. So for our models and algorithms then, our co-leaders are Chris Trivandi, Matt Simpson and Tim Moroney, and you can see here that this is really focused on the development of the models and the algorithms that underpin data science. So, and very much around combining the expertise from the different groups and trying to generate that synergy as opposed to the different silos that we tend to work in. So then data-focused decision-making that David leads in collaboration with Margot Brereton really focuses on the importance of human values in the context of data science. And so really here about envisaging a future where humans and machines work in synergy. And you can see there the different challenges and vision that this particular domain has. Then the applied data science is a broad spectrum here. So this is Richie Nyack and Simon Denman. Richie is in computer science, in natural language processing and unstructured data analysis primarily, and Simon Denman is in computer vision and very quite different areas, but linked through their interest in applied data science. So you can see here this sort of bridge between research and industry using very many different types of data to really build those collaborations within QUT and then also outside of QUT. So then coming to the mid layer, we have our domain-specific research. And what we've done here is try to create this data science at QUT network, as I was talking about, that links the different areas around the university. So the centre is a tier 1 university, so it sits across the university, and then these are the different groups that are linked through this data science at QUT network. The data science domains then coalesce the different activities in that data science at QUT network. So we have here our data science domains, two of which are environmental and natural systems, and health and biological systems. So you can see the leaders of the domains there. I think it's nice to see the faces of the people in the centre, but then also the kinds of visions that they have about or the way that they're articulated the vision for these particular domains here. So, and again, for our domains, we have business and engineering systems and social systems. So in social systems, for example, we've brought together Dr. Charlie Moyle, who's a mid-career researcher who's in business, in tourism mainly, but in data science in general in business, and then also Tim Graham, who's in digital media research. And so these two areas coming together to look at the sort of the social aspects of data science. And then we have the business and engineering systems, which is bringing together actually a range of people from engineering and business, as it turns out, but the two leaders there are in main focus in transport and in econometrics. So again, trying to find these connections in quite different areas, but this fundamental synergy or connection through data science. And then we have our e-research group, which is really bringing together the infrastructure and contributing, really linking closely with our e-research group, which is an entity in its own right at QUT, but making that connection between governance and infrastructure and data management and platforms together with the areas in data science, the core data science. And in government systems, and this is one that I will segue into here because we have people from business and mathematical sciences. But the government systems domain has been born from a partnership with an entity, with the Australian Bureau of Statistics, and they've funded a research position, a research chair in the university, and a number of PhDs that sit down under that. And so we're trying to create these constellations, and that funded position is actually half by a person that's seconded from the ABS, Bernadette, and half from QUT, who is Gentry White. And so these two people will share that position for 3 years and then foster those PhDs and other collaborations through this government systems domain. So this kind of external engagement then, which forms our third layer, and we can see the permeability through the layers, comprises, for example, these co-funded constellations. And as I said, we have one in the Bureau of Statistics, but also one in the Australian Institute of Sport and Queensland Academy of Sport, and that's a research fellow that's co-funded, actually funded from those entities, and that's Paul Wu is in that position. And again, a bunch of PhDs under that to really create that critical mass for research. We have co-funded research projects, for example, with AIMS. We have co-funded postdocs and RHD programs, for example, with Services Australia. We have professional internships where people from industry can come in and spend some time with us and sort of absorb and interact and make connections that can benefit their challenges in their workplace. For an example of that is with Dingo. We also then have commercial research and consulting, and also in-house small group partnerships as well. As far as the broader engagement, then we are about to embark on a grand challenge in our centre, and so this grand challenge will be related to the UN SDGs, so quite broad, but a major initiative for the centre. We have our RHD Academy. We also have our datathons and hackathons that are being created, and our data scientist in residence program, and we're just establishing this, so it's new, came off the rank, as with many of these. And so this idea here would be that we can have somebody from industry or academia in residence to add value to our centre and create workshops, seminars, public lectures, collaborations in research and so on. we have our Data Science in the News seminar series that's been going for about 1.5 years now. So that's been very popular, bringing together, like looking at particular topics that are in the news and bringing panels together to talk about what's the data science aspect of that. And we also have our Data Science for Social Good program that we've just established now, and that's going to be with not-for-profits and with our students, both undergraduate students and postgraduate students, and our ACRs forming teams to work on projects in social good in collaboration with these groups. And just as a quick exemplar project, then we have our Queen's Wharf Brisbane project. This was initiated by the state government. We have a large infrastructure development here at QUT that is around the Queen's Wharf development. And the state government asked, how do we create a long-term monitoring and impact study for Queen's Wharf? And so what we did was spend some time with the state government on this, and came up with this wheel, which is basically the different aspects of the measures that you might consider in these looking at the long-term benefits and impact study, and also where we might find data to inform this. And that's led then to particular aspects that were picked out, or particular avenues that were identified by the state government to focus on. And this really covers across the university. So now what we've done is connect people from these different areas of the university. We've started out with some projects for phases 1 and 2, and now put PhD students in these different domains to work together for a long-term monitoring of these particular aspects. And so this is really a way of trying to engage and bring together the different groups around the university. So we have just some very quick results from phases 1 and 2, but really interesting seeing how these groups are working together on this common problem. And this, as you can see here, this is a long-term timeline past the current life of our centre, which is 5 years, but hopefully through the life of the centre in its next tranches of iterations. So just to finalise then, we sort of have this beautiful botanic gardens near where we are. Some of the Moreton Bay figs here are fantastic examples of what we consider to be data science, really, and what our task is across the university, but also then across the data science network that we have created here. So we have our individual branches, but we also have these roots that really connect us, and those roots are in data science.